Fuck. All right, we're rolling.
Planet B
presents Cult and Culture Podcast.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Cult and Culture Podcast. This is Justin Pearson.
And I'm Luke Hinshaw.
And today's episode has adult. We were lucky to have Adam and Nicola in San Diego for their show recently and had them on the podcast. It was awesome to hang out with them. Awesome in so many ways. So we had done a track with them quite a while ago that came out on Dias, and it's called Release Me. And so since then we kind of talked about working on other stuff together, and we sort of redid that track, and we did another one, and
we put live drums.
The Planet B drums on it, Kevin Avery and Scott Osment, and it's pretty rad. Anyhow, it was nice to get FaceTime with them and be in the studio with them to really work on things, because everything up until that point was done remotely.
Yeah, it's funny, like working on two tracks with two artists and we've never even really met. So it was good to meet them. Yeah,
it was cool, and the podcast proved everything that I kind of already thought. I mean, I think that they're, like, when you think of about a band or an artist and what their inspiration is, it's not always really about the music. It's about life. And I think that they delivered, not delivered, but like, in the sense, like they explained, their influences, musical influences, and their life influences, and I felt like we just connected in every way possible. Such great people, and so just so kind and smart and creative. And then also too, I mean, later that night, like seeing them perform, I already loved the band, but like, man, it was really, really impressive just kind of having all the insight from the podcast already in my brain, and then to see them play live, it just made more sense and made me just appreciate them that more. But it was cool. It was really, really fun to work with them, and just fun to hang out with them. So that's another thing too, that like with our podcast, we always do it in person. I think it's weird when people do podcasts without connecting. I don't know. Like it seems different. I want to be like in the room with them and get the vibe and
Oh, you mean like on the little Zoom podcast?
Yeah, or any kind of I've done podcasts, with other people for their podcast where it was just through Zoom or phone or whatever, and that's fine. But for me, I want to be able to be in the same room. It just says, I don't know, says something else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it was cool to catch up with them, and they did this massive tour, and beat COVID and beat, I don't know, whatever else the obstacles were, and they did this hugely successful long ass tour that part of me envies because we haven't been able to tour, but also part of me is like, man, fuck that. And it was like months, multiple, like some crazy amount of, they're like 50 days in a row or something. I was just like, ugh. I remember those days. Pretty brutal, but I'm down for it. So if you guys want to take us back out on tour, let us know. Another 50 dates. I guess stay tuned for our upcoming release with them, the Planet B adult sort of collaborative thing that we did together. And then also we hope you enjoy this podcast. And here we go. Where did you get the leather vest at? Did you already have them? You have like matching leather vests. I'm impressed.
She's been copying my style for the last few years.
We actually we went to this food place because that's what it was. I couldn't even tell you what the name was yesterday in Phoenix. And I was walking in, and this person who works there was like, I really like your style. And I wanted to be like, thanks, I ripped it off of Adam. So we look like identical.
Yeah, when you guys came out today, you had that. I know. But it's cool.
It's
I have a problem with my partner and I when we were both like, I'm like, dude, you can't wear a fucking army green shirt and black pants if I'm doing that. Like, it doesn't work,
It's like when you show up in the morning to breakfast and you both have the same black leg shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't wear that.
I know.
We were in Target yesterday, a 2-story one here in San Diego. Never been to a 2-story Target.
Oh.
And
Did you give a shout out to Target?
I'm getting paid by Target. No, and then I walked. Nicola was already checking out, and I went up, and I was like, "I'm with her," and the cashier went, "Yeah, that's pretty obvious."
Yeah, you guys definitely.
That's 25 years of working and relation. You know, married and working for 25 years. You become one.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. You made it work though. That's really rad.
Yeah.
It is pretty rad.
Yeah. You guys have something so special and I want to say strange, but that sounds bad. But it's strange. Like it's rare or unique. Yeah. But you hope it's strange.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Please.
Yeah. Cool.
If it were normal, that would
have
be
something
fun.
so beautiful and natural.
Yeah. I always say weird, and people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, it's fucking weird," and that means like it's cool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Wow. Let's talk about a couple superficial things, or not important, like marital things. I wanted to ask you about why you have 2 microphones, and I'm so jealous that you did that and I didn't do it before you, because I'm like, fuck, it looks so sick with 2 mics. I was like, damn. I mean, and then like I play with Mike Patton, and he always has a damn CB, and I'm like, I want another thing, but I don't know what.
Well, see, as we were talking earlier, you travel with a sound person.
Mm-hmm.
We don't travel with a sound person. So I'm like, I don't have somebody that's going to help me out with my vocals. Like if I need suddenly like some crazy delay or echo, like it's just kind of my DIY way of being able to give myself vocal effects when I want it.
And you use both of the same Boss. What is that one?
Yeah, they're
the red one.
The VE20, and I am giving a shout out to Roland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I can just have like a main mic that's like basically like just chorus, a little bit of chorus, and then I can have
compression noise gate.
Yeah, the second mic. Yeah, right. And both pedals have noise gate on them, and
But it sucks with those pedals because you would think ideally Roland would make, or Boss would make the product where you could like sift through because you can't change the setting really quick.
Yeah, I mean.
You could kneel down.
And that's, like, I actually used to just have them on the floor, and I'd have to kneel down every time I want to change them, but now I've got them up on a stand, and now I just pull the stand over with my
Only once on tour so far, and that was because the sound engineer did the whole, like...
I mean...
She was like, I need really long chords, and he was like, 25 feet's enough.
Yeah.
And that's the only night that she pulled everything down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been getting really long chords to cruise out. Like, go to the bathroom.
I love that. Like, get the hell out of there. Like,
go pay the meter.
Actually, that's really funny. When we were doing this, like, Rubicon Records show, we were by the door. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go outside, because there was, like, a bunch of people outside. And I'm like, I'm going to, like, go outside and, sing to these people. Yeah. And then just as I opened up the door and stepped out and was like, there was a cop, like...
You can still do that, right?
I don't... Well...
We didn't know if it was going to get shut down for noise complaints.
How legal
because it wasn't like a rule.
It was a record store.
Yeah.
But
and it was late,
like,
and it was
loud.
Bad
timing.
Yeah. Fucking pigs. That's rad. But like just the stage presence of holding 2 mics just looks tough.
It just gives me something to do.
It looks great.
I'm gonna tell you though, it's a fucking pain in the ass because I just get those things all. I mean, think about a regular cable and like.
What about cordless?
Then what? I would just look like this.
Yeah.
Like I looked like I was like milking a cow or something.
I did this Bloody Beetroots thing with those guys, and they had at these festivals, and they had these they had me sing, and they had cordless mics, and I was just over it and just kept chucking the mics into the crowd and leaving. I was like, fuck this, totally like not professional.
Plus, if you had like I look at it like this, like a dog on a leash, right? If you didn't have the cable, where would you go?
Yeah. It seems you need. I feel like I need that.
You have to
have
that
just
limit.
A cable. Yeah, like if I don't have I'll just feel weird.
Yeah.
Even when I'm playing bass, like I don't think I could do like cordless. It just seems strange to me.
Yeah.
But by the end of every show, especially not if it's a tiny stage, but if it's medium stage or bigger, by the end of the show, I'll be playing, and then I will think that I see like a big rat coming across the stage, and I'll look over, and it's just her chords piled up, just moving like across.
They take on their own life.
Yeah, because we did have rats at the London show. So.
Oh, in the venue, huh?
Yeah,
but not while you're playing.
No.
Yeah, they'd cruise. They'd leave.
I actually never saw them. Ross saw them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I don't know. I wanted to ask you about like what kind of you have like a crazy setup. I mean, I never get to like. I always want to bother people, you know, but I know not to. When you're on stage, like, what are you running, dude? You know, like
during a show.
You just walk up there with like a little clipboard.
Yeah.
Well,
you got a lot going on.
This one I got even more going on.
Cool.
And that's, you know, the reason I like to tour, and I like it to be long tours. This is 51 dates. And if I don't have a lot going on, I'm going to be bored.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to tweak it so that if it's like a energetic crowd, I can add more like stuff to it. And if it's, you know, like a Tuesday in
Salt Lake City.
Yeah, then you can
Never
just
again.
like can just kind of pull it back and not make you look like you're doing way more than you should be doing. But yeah, no,
You're way too excited for like 4 people.
Yeah. But yeah, for years I had a sampler and a couple synths, and I kind of realized that the way I play the sampler is just kind of like maybe the way Luke plays the MPCs. You know, you're just kind of pushing buttons, and I was like, what if they were bigger? And I just thought I'll just play, so I can play melodies. Like so, it's the Roland SPD SX. Another shout out.
Are you guys sponsored by Roland?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then 2 pads, and they've got the rim and the. So I've got 13 pads. So like, when we started rehearsals, I was like, oh shit! Like I've really gotten myself into a pickle here, because for every song I have 13 different pads. So remember the game Memory, where you had to like lift a tile? Yeah. So I ended up having to learn like 240 locations of everything.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about not getting bored on the road. Like the first 2 weeks in Europe, I was like, I don't think I rehearsed enough.
You're like, I think this is the right one.
That's the wrong one.
So you're playing melodies with sticks?
Like da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
I mean, essentially the same thing as you play.
Yeah, with the finger.
Same. It's just your finger, and I just converted it. So like, you know, we're talking about Ross from Black Plague a lot on this podcast.
I love him. Let's just give him a shout out.
Yes, and Lauren.
God.
Yes.
He's the best.
And so, you know, he's a drummer. So like, he was teasing me like, because he just kept calling me a pad hitter, and I was like, that's exactly what I am. I am not a drummer. I'm standing up and I'm hitting pads. And but because, you know, we've been writing songs together for 25 years, we've got stuff that I need keyboards, like for, you know, polyphony and stuff, or the keyboard. I've figured out a way to convert it to a sampler. Through automation, which I was really proud of. This thing, it took me forever to figure it out, but anyways, and then I have another like unit that is good for modulation, and then I've got some pedals that's where I can really put in, like if it's like a rowdy crowd, I can just like, especially on our last song, I just get this like echo going like really fast or really slow. So that's what I do. So
I mean, a lot of I guess a lot of electronic artists will their sound will be this one level always.
Yeah.
And you can give it to them or not give it to them.
Yeah.
Depending on what the vibe is. That's
exactly.
good. That's cool. Yeah. Would you guys ever play with? Has it always just been you two, or have you ever considered?
No, in 2005, we wrote an EP called Doom, and we decided to do all bass and guitar, and then we were like, how are we going to tour on this? So we brought in a friend to play the guitar parts, and then it all jived really well, and so then we wrote 2/3 of the next album together called Give Me Trouble, and that was a guitar bass album. So not everyone was like, wait, what? So we always are very grateful to our fans that they took so many different directions.
But still synthetic drums, right? It was not like a full band, I guess.
No, we've never done a full band.
Yeah.
And then I toured for years with a bass guitar as part of, and if you are our second and third album, it's a ton of bass guitar.
So I think the first time I saw you, you had, was there 4 people or 3? 3. But there was a stringed instrument in the band the first time I saw you play.
2. It would have been 2, a bass and a guitar.
You though.
You were playing bass.
You were playing bass.
Bass.
Yeah. I meant there was 3 people with stringed in the band. So that's cool, but that's kind of weird too because you guys have your obvious thing. Because you're married, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, he ended up quitting the band. He was like, "Yes, it's definitely democratic, and you two always vote the same."
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna win any arguments. And we're still really good friends to this day.
Yeah.
He also hated touring.
He didn't like. I mean, you know, touring's really
some people
challenging.
Built for it,
people
some
think
people
like,
don't
oh, it's
like it.
You know, it must be so great, which it is at moments.
You get to see a lot of venues.
Yeah, you get to be in a lot of indoors.
Yeah.
Black zones.
Yeah. Sorry, that's not. We're in San Diego.
Hey,
I mean, what do you want to be out in the sun?
I saw some sun coming here.
So okay, well, I would like to talk to you guys about like where you think all the, I guess the where it all came from. You know, it's such a strange question, not musically, but just like the vibe or the aesthetic or something. I mean, do you think it has something to do with where you live, or where do you think all this comes from? I guess that's a really weird question. I probably phrased it pretty shitty.
I think so. I mean, I think that obviously your environment plays a certain role in what you do, you know, because there's a certain energy there. And I do think, you know, Detroit is a really special city for music making. I mean, it has such a crazy, diverse history. I think also because we're not trained musicians, we actually went to art school. I think we just approach things probably from
an artistic perspective.
A different way. I never, like growing up, I never wanted to be in a band. I just sort of fell into it because I wanted to go to Germany for free.
Oh, wow.
And I think because of that,
why Germany, if you don't mind?
Well, Adam got invited in '97 to tour, like to do 4 shows in Germany for his solo project, and like the phone call came in.
It was
and I was
label,
like,
Studio K7 was doing a compilation. They were like, we'd like 2 songs from you, but then you have to agree to tour 4 dates in Germany for the compilation.
Which 4 shows is really not a tour.
I know.
Anyway.
I know.
And so she was sitting next to me. We'd maybe been dating.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
A year.
I don't know. I don't even know it was that
And
long.
I just said, hey, can you play any instruments? Do you have any musical interest in performing or anything? And she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm getting asked to go to Germany, but I think I'm going to tell them that I want 2 tickets because I perform my solo stuff with 2 people.
Oh, yeah.
Which was totally just made up.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
She's like, I took piano growing up, and
whoa.
I was like, okay. And then I said, okay, I'm in, but I'll need 2 tickets.
Yeah.
And they're like, fine.
Yeah, actually, when I was like,
and so then it wasn't just those 4 songs. We had to like make a
we
whole
had to make
set.
we had to make a set.
And suddenly we had a 12
Wow,
inch.
so that was the start of the band.
Yeah, so that
cool.
was the band. So I also think that's like a huge.
So that was our business model. If you're looking to be a band for 25 years, start off with no plan and keep doing it.
But that's like the best thing, because you know people are like, "Oh, that's great. Let's do exactly that," and you're like, "That's just bullshit. You got to stumble upon it." That's so cool. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I think that's also like some of like just us as a band. It's been a really long learning curve. Like I actually don't really like. I feel like we're actually we just didn't start out real natural at like what we were doing, and I feel like I'm really proud of what we do now.
Yeah, but you think all the best things started out like that? Really, I think at least all the like cool original like soulful things. So you're just like, I don't know how this happened.
Yeah.
And that's the best. I really do think that.
Yeah.
But also the fact that you're still learning that's cool too, because a lot of people are like, I got this, and then they just fart it out for the rest of their career. And
right.
Yeah, like when I moved to the pads, at one point I was like, Nicola, I think I screwed everything up. I don't know how to go backwards, and I don't know how to go forward. I'm not good at it. I look at me like a video of me. I'm like, look stupid.
No way! I saw that and I was like, oh shit, that looks great. Yeah, but
it took a long.
Yeah. You just gotta add more fog.
Yeah.
Fog always makes everything
but I think,
better.
To go even further back on your question about like where did it all come from?
Yeah.
You know, Nicola grew up in a really small town in Michigan. I grew up in a really small town in Indiana. I'm older than Nicola, so I'm growing up in '85 when I, that year that you change from a dumb kid. I always say there's that year in your yearbook where one year you're wearing something really stupid, and then the next year you're totally punk, but you actually look really stupid because you don't know how to do it. So you still look stupid.
But if enough time passes, those early punk things look really fucking cool. Now you're like, dude, you were 12 like that.
Yeah. Right.
But so for me, I started my first hardcore band in '85. And had 4 friends that I forced to go work with me. One still is in music and runs a label. The others have nothing to do with it. But so we both we both gravitated towards hardcore first, but at the same time, we were still buying The Cure and buying PIL and Depeche Mode and Skinny Puppy and anything that had a weird cover.
That's a crazy point to bring up, because I feel like when I was growing up, hardcore and then I guess what would you say, like original alternative music, I guess would it be like The Cure and Skinny Puppy and stuff. It seemed the same to me, like not the same, like that all sounds the same. I mean, it seems like, oh yeah, I should like all of that shit,
right?
Like it makes sense to like like Septic Death and The Cure, but I
absolutely.
guess,
I mean, I would have a Rudimentary Peanut button and a Depeche Mode button on my jacket and get made fun of by
everybody,
other friend punks, and you're like, we're not supposed to make fun of each other. We're all the outsiders.
That's crazy, because I feel we're lucky, I think, in San Diego, because it is very eclectic, and I think because we're not Los Angeles or some like ripping city that has like everything set up for them. So like when we were growing up, we would just be like, well, yeah, you're in a funk band and you're in a fucking, I don't know, whatever, like you're a straight edge band, like let's do this together or whatever, or like you want to sell spaghetti, we'll do that too, and it just didn't matter, like you just did whatever and everybody was cool. I think that's important.
And if you go back to both of our first cassettes, did a friend make your cassette? My first cassette that changed my life. A friend of mine moved up from, he's still my friend, but he had just moved up from Atlanta to Shittsville, Indiana. Like nothing, no store, and it was Black Flag, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. And that's why on our album Give Me Trouble it's spelled I-E instead of the Iggy Pop way. Like our Detroit people were like, you spelled it wrong. And we're like, no, it's based off of this record.
Wow.
And then the B-side was Depeche Mode's A Broken Frame. And I still think that's exactly the
and I couldn't tell you what Dead Kennedy's record, but it was like Dead Kennedy's on one side, PIL on the other side. It was like,
so it's kind of like
two of the best.
Sums us up. It was like what we're still.
Not that we sound like those bands.
No, but still that combination.
I feel like we have like a certain ethical code.
But maybe that's great that you don't sign those bands, but you have these reference points, and I think that's important. Man, I always reference this quote, and I'll go ahead and say it. My friend Gabe Serbian passed away, but people always ask him like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Or how do you play? How do you do this hardcore? Like what hardcore bands do you listen to? And he's like, I don't listen to hardcore. I just play it. And I was like, oh, that's a fucking jam right there. Like it just seems so. I think a lot of us, and you guys included, like we have the ability to take in, and not necessarily let them be influential to the point where we're recreating something,
right?
But we need those. You're
copying.
We need those things
to emulate something.
Because there is like the DNA of whatever you guys are creating has Black Flag in it, but most people they would never know.
It doesn't sound anything like that. I think that sometimes where I do kind of get a little frustrated with like how we get categorized, because it's like I mean, yes, we are an electronic band. And we do have a lot of, like, melodies, and, I mean, we have, like, I don't even know how many fucking songs, like 150 songs. So, yes, some of them are, like, pretty, and then some of them are, like, in my opinion, punk songs.
Yeah.
But, like, people never, like, look at us as they'll be like, oh, you're a synth pop band. I'm like, no, we're not a synth pop band. I mean, if you want to say we're a synth punk band, that makes better sense to me. Yeah. But it's just, like, I think people's misconception of, like, who we are sometimes frustrates me.
And we've been very careful of the covers we do to kind of try to do that little bit of a reference point for people. So, like, for years we were doing Tuxedo Moon, No Tears, and, like, on this tour we're doing Screamers.
Oh, cool. Which, like, Screamers song?
122 Hours.
I love that song. Which makes sense because I could see you can see the lineage from that to you guys.
Yeah.
So it's not only noting your history, it's also hopefully allowing people in the audience that don't understand where the reference points are.
Yeah, which is also pretty cool too, because that would be like, I mean, maybe when, I don't know, people were first discovering Dead Kennedys, they didn't know where their reference points were. They were just like, what is this thing? So people are seeing you, and because the Dead Kennedys had, like, some shit going on. They were the best, like, talent-wise. They're just, like, they were players, were, like, no offense to, like, Minor Threat or whatever, but, like, they weren't really, like, that technical. But, I mean, it does seem like there was a weird blur or like, something between the Sex Pistols to the PIL world, because PIL carried on, like, the Sex Pistols, like, punk rock stuff, and I use that in like, air quotes, but it became the real punk band, because they were, like, changing shit, and because if you look back, the Sex Pistols were a pop band,
right?
But PIL was fucking weird and doing strange ass shit, and
totally
they were
weird, and, like, kind of funky in a strange way too, right?
Like, but even the fact that they were kind of funky, I mean, you had, like, in Jaw Wobble was obviously on that tip or whatever, but, like, they were like into, like, reggae and shit, and, like, I don't know that. So it is kind of interesting to see where things translate and how they come out of other people, where you can't find the roots of it, In
any art that I like, it has to have an individual voice. That's what I always boil it down to. I want to know that it's that person. Doesn't mean it can't change, but,
It is weird, because we're friends with that band Black Dice. Are you guys familiar with them? And they started out, like, as a brutal hardcore band, and now they're all electronic.
Oh, crazy.
And people trip out on that, and it is, like, if you look at their first record and their last record, the recent record, it's two different bands to most people. But I think, like, to me, I think that, like, the shift in their duration of them as being a band so far is, like, really rooted in punk ethics.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to adapt and change with the world and with themselves and be like, we're gonna do this other thing, and this is fucking cool, and be honest.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that. Well, there's a lot of non-honesty stuff happening, I suppose.
Well, also, I mean, I think as an artist, it's like to just constantly repeat yourself is just kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want to be super successful, that's what people want, but that's not, like, my measure of success, right? It's like keeping, like, growing, challenging yourself, like, seeing where you can push yourself. Sometimes it's good to be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes not with the fans. They take it really. Yeah,
but we've been.
I think
that's why we are so lucky to 25 years, and
I think
it feels like 90% of everyone's gone with us on that journey.
I think we pissed a lot of people off when we were just like, look, we're not fucking electroclash. So if you're on the electroclash bandwagon, have fun with that, because this is where we're going. And I think we did actually lose a lot of people, but we kept a certain, like, the people that stayed with us, they understood the change. And then I think we've, because of also just being, like, so, like, no, this is, like, what we're doing, I think then, new fans come along and they understand that.
That's a really interesting point, because, like, when electroclash became a thing, I feel like and if I'm wrong, correct me, please. But you were already on this trajectory of where you were headed. Like you were already focused, and then this popular thing happened. Everyone's like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna go over there," and you were just like, "No, we're fucking on this route right now. Like we're staying."
We took a whole year off of playing shows. We were like,
because of Electroclash.
Yeah, we want this name to go away.
Yeah.
Because we were just a punk band using synths.
Yeah.
And it was like,
and that whole scene was just like
about
vapid
fashion
and
drugs
fashion conscious, and like we were just like, no, we're
irony.
Like, you know.
I like that I said it like that.
We're like talking about.
You guys don't know how much I hate irony. And ironing.
Yeah.
I actually tried to iron this shirt before you came and picked us up, and
you guys are
still looks like shit.
It's so funny. Like
I hate ironing.
So to everybody listening, you guys screen printed all your merch, and you were
not
like
all
dyeing
of it.
your some of it. Yeah.
She does special handmade runs. She made her own earrings that'll be available.
Whoa.
Which I learned
she learned
that
how
I
to
hate
epoxy and do everything.
That's pretty rad. Weird merch is
I just
cool.
like to hang out at Joanne Fabrics and Michael's.
Yeah.
Another sponsorship.
Definitely
You're
not.
all gonna get a 50% refund from Joanne Fabrics if you enter in the code Adult Sews.
You should wrap your van with like Joanne Fabrics logo and like.
But don't ever go to Hobby Lobby.
No.
Right.
Yeah. God, last time I was there, it's so funny. We stole so much shit.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was like I was a lot younger. Do you guys know Scott Bybin? He's pretty famous criminal. I was with Scott Bybin. He stole all this shit to make a kite. I don't know why he wanted a fucking kite. I don't even know what I was doing with him. We were probably somewhere like by Detroit, and he Hobby Lobby stole all this stuff to make a kite. And I went out to the car and I was waiting. I was like, God damn it, man! He got caught shoplifting, huh? And like it felt like forever. It's maybe a half an hour later, or maybe an hour. I don't know. He came out, and somehow he talked, because they're fucking stupid. He talked him in to giving him the shit and giving him money. Yeah, it was weird, dude. I was like, leave it to that guy, Scott Bybin. He's a prankster. Like he does all kinds of shit. But maybe
he just quoted a couple Bible verses or something.
He probably could get away with that.
Him.
Yeah, he did it. Oh, I was gonna go somewhere before the Hobby Lobby thing. With
Sorry.
Crafts. No.
Take your time.
You can just edit out the silence.
No, it would be good though, because no one would mess with your van if it was like Joanne Fabrics.
Yeah, we always joke. We're like, I mean, obviously we're constantly paranoid with getting our van broken into, and there's been some really terrible stories recently of people who have gotten all their gear stolen, and I just don't ever want to be in that situation. But sometimes we laugh when we see like other vans like at gas stations or you know, on the expressway. We're like, dudes, don't put fucking stickers all over your van and look like a fucking band.
Born Against did it. They had like all this Christian shit all over it, like total like God bless America and guns and whatever, and no one ever messed with them, man.
Our van just looks like a park ranger van.
Yeah, but well, our van that we have has the best is the license plate frame. It used to be this band Retox's van, so Mike Crane, it said Mike Crane's Mobile Dog Grooming, and no one's gonna fuck with that. Like, what are you gonna break into that and get a bunch of dog shampoo? You know, because we've been robbed.
Scissors.
So,
we thought about putting Biohazard on the side.
Yeah, that would be good
then,
too.
Like then you're going to Canada. That's not.
I know. Yeah, the dog grooming thing probably works. And sometimes I'd be cruising around like not on tour, and people are looking at me like, "What the fuck? This shitty looking van with a dog groomer thing?" Like, you know.
Actually, you know what would be the best is like pest control. Like, whenever you see those vans, you're like,
"Oh, touch that." Yeah.
Like manure.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool. But someone just stole our catalytic converter, you know, and that's just like that shit's wild. But
good luck.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Could have been worse. Well, knock on. This is from Micah, but yeah.
Is this real wood?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Well, okay,
what about
so you
this?
guys, what?
I wanted to jump to the story with you guys getting stuck at the airport.
Oh.
So we are on a 51-date tour. We had 23 dates in Europe. It started March 5th-ish. Can't remember the start date. And it was really wild. We were like, many of the clubs, we were like the second, third act since they had been open. Like, we skidded in. Like, we didn't even know the tour was going to happen until 9 days before, because we were waiting to see if Germany was going to lift their COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So it was booked like in the middle point before. What was the one variant that just happened?
Right.
Delta.
Well,
No, it was booked.
I mean, this is
2
like
years
the
ago.
third.
Oh,
this is
yeah.
the third booking of this tour.
And so we asked our agent, like, should we move the tour to this fall? And he's like, guys, like, everything from February before is the fall now.
Yeah.
There's no room.
No
it's going to be
way,
2023 spring if we move the tour. And, and not pressuring us, and totally awesome guy and everything, but he's just like, this is our only option, or it's a year. So we were on board, but like, you're rehearsing, but you're kind of not rehearsing, because
you're like, is this going to
happen? So we didn't know 9 days before. So anyways, it was that close on every country. It was like, people coming in and being like, all the COVID restrictions are lifted, and you're like, okay. And so everything went fine, and then apparently we think we got it in Switzerland, which was like the 5th last show, because we woke up with this weird tickle.
We were just like the whole hotel smelled like hot plastic.
Whoa.
They had just renovated it.
So
so we just thought it was
we were like,
off-gassing.
it must be like the room, like it was nasty.
And then
by the time we got to Paris, it was our second to the last show, and like literally like an hour before that show started, we got the note that it's like, your Nijmegen show is canceled.
All the
because everybody has COVID. And we were like, oh, that's a bummer.
But then it was
then we were like,
tour's over.
Fucking tired.
Yeah. And then we didn't know that we had COVID, and so that we were extra tired. But tour at the end of a
hell yeah
5-week tour, you're just tired.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Right? I kind of think if people want. Like, if I was to talk to a doctor about COVID symptoms, I'd be like, it's the same as tour fatigue. You cough, you're tired, you ache. And so anyways, we went to the airport to get, you have to fly home still, you have to, from Europe.
They test
Not
you
from
there.
Canada, but from Europe, you have to get a test, and we failed.
Wow.
And then we were stuck at the airport for 5 more days, and just had to pay all that money. When we got a dumb airport hotel because it was cheap and it had a kitchenette. So we
and they're just like,
because we couldn't go out to eat now because we had COVID. Wow. So but it was nuts. There was some really nice. In 1998 we played Munich, and we hadn't played since. And when we got there, the promoter was like, hey, so Upstart owns this this venue. You played for him at a different venue 20-some years ago, and he's going to try to come tonight, but he just wanted to welcome you, and he's so excited that you're still working so long. And we're like, oh, it's really nice. We're in this airport hotel, and we get a note from the promoter that's like, Upstart wants you to put an extra 300 euros into the invoice just to help you out on the road. He had no idea we were stuck at this hotel.
So we were like, oh my God, that's like a Christmas miracle.
I have never had a tip. Have you ever had a tip?
No.
It felt so nice.
Rad.
It felt like you were part of a, it really felt cool. Everybody working together. So,
that was the punk stuff. That wasn't the electroclash shit. That was like, like seriously, that person was like, yep, this is how it is. It's like a code or something.
Yeah. So that worked out fine. And then we were supposed to be home, I think, 9 days before North America started. And then we ended up with like 4 days, and we were running around like crazy.
We were so crazy leaving our house in Detroit that I left this on the kitchen chair. This is my wallet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's how nuts it was.
We had to have our friends FedEx it to the next city.
Wow.
Or the first city.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's been
And we pride ourselves on not forgetting anything.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
but that probably came out in your performance. I'm sure the shows are just awesome. You're just like on fire every night. You're just like, fuck, like a rabid dog. Just.
I think there's. I don't know. How do you feel like before you perform? Because you give a lot. I get especially when you're on tour. Like I literally before a show, I am like this, and I'm like literally sitting, backstage or in the van going, I can't possibly do this show. Like,
every night you say that.
Yeah, I have like zero energy.
No, you say it every morning.
And I say it every morning when I wake up. I say, I cannot
do this
I'm not
today.
gonna, these bones are not gonna get out of bed.
But you know how it is.
Do you feel that way?
I don't know if I feel that way. I feel like I don't have a choice. I'm like, I'm here, I gotta do this thing. But I do kind of like try to assess the situation. But it's funny because everybody's different. Like Luke's a lot different, but I always trip out with like, I played with Nick Zinner, who's in the IAS, and that motherfucker gets so anxious and stressed out and shit. And I'm like, I don't know, don't you do this all the time? Like, he's just like getting mad, like playing at the smell, like in Los Angeles. He's like, dude, it's fine, like, I don't know. So I do try to look at it in a different light, but there are times where it's like, it's one thing if you're playing and you're the, like, not necessarily the headliner, but like it's your show, like if you're just like an opener for something and you're just like, fuck, it's gonna be like you have to kind of compete, and that's the part that I don't like, when I'm like, not compete, but you have to, like, a good example is this band Def Club just played this John Waters thing, and it was cool, but no one was there was like 500 people. There was probably like 3 people that were there to see us.
It wasn't your fans.
No, and it was. Right. And everyone was seated in tables. It was just like, fuck.
I love that image of you up on somebody's big round
table.
Yeah, but so that's the thing, is like, I looked at it like, God damn it, like, this isn't gonna be, I don't want to, this sounds weird, but like, it's not like it's fun. It's just, it's like, we have to do this for ourselves.
Right.
It's not gonna be like, this is gonna be fucking rad, like, we're gonna play in a hardcore band and then it's gonna be awesome, and Circle Pit, and like, it was like, this is gonna be a lot of work, and we're probably gonna bum a lot of people out, which is fun to me in some way, but like, it was like a workout. Yeah. But with you guys, like, I feel like your show tonight, like, you're just gonna go fucking kill it, and everyone's psyched.
Making me feel like it's gonna be terrible.
Get your shit together.
So stressed out.
I mean, I keep going because we really need to, especially now more than ever, keep weird culture alive.
It's so cool to hear you say that.
And if you don't do that, it's going to go away. And like, we played New Year's and in Minneapolis, and I was talking to a friend of mine who was doing a New Year's party in Detroit, and I'm like, why are you doing it? Are you with COVID, are you nervous like this? And he was like, we're going to follow the protocol, and also, if I don't do this on New Year's, some idiot is going to do a party in the same venue and just brainwash a bunch of stupid people. And he was like, if I do this, I help culture and I help people. And for me, I mean, it was like, first cassette I got, it changed my life. I was like, oh, these people speak the way I speak, they think the way I think. You're not converted, you're like, that's what's been missing. It just, you click suddenly.
It's a secret code, I think, or like an unspoken language or something where you relate to it.
And then when I read the book, Our Band Could Be Your Life, I mean, that was it. I was like, this is what, I'm just going to get in the van and just keep going. I'll go to these tiny cities. Like, it was super cool. We played Oklahoma City. It was dead. And the promoter afterwards was like, that was so great. Yeah. And I was like, he's like, you saw the Sex Pistols movie? Like, you don't know who those people were. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then there was this
what was that, 24-Hour Party People, where they pointed that out? Yeah.
And then there was this other guy there, and he had come down from Wichita. And I said something like, and I was talking to this guy, I'm like, it really takes only one person to change a city. I don't know if you know Magus, Jim Magus. When he opened Weekend Records in the 2000s in Chicago, when it was still real Chicago.
Wait, Jim owns that record store?
He did. Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Didn't we work with him?
Yeah, we worked on a film score with him.
Oh, yeah, right. The Argento film. So, he was on our label. I produced some of his stuff. Oh, yeah, we're old friends. And so, like, his record store literally started changing that city at that time. I mean, of course, there were other stores, but it started this scene that we were all part of. And I was telling the story, and then it's really cool. This guy from Wichita went up, and now he's starting to promote parties in Wichita.
Cool.
And that's, to me, so I played for 15 people. Yeah. So what? Now that's going there, that's going there.
That's also the Martin Atkins thing. Yeah. He always says, like, if you have 2 new fans at a show, that's all that matters. And I always trip out, like, why, dude? You were like in everything awesome. And I'm like, 2? That's the number. He's like, and he's just a humble, and he knows. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well, I'm glad that you guys are still doing it, and I think it is important. Thanks. I think it's important on levels that I wouldn't be able to articulate, levels that I can't even understand. Like, that's so cool.
Well, what else do we all have to do, right?
No shit. It's
what are we
survival.
Do?
It's It's survival, but not for us, you know?
Right.
It's like a larger
I also get a real kick that we work in a, even though it's still inside capitalism in a way, we have a system that's just like how the tour routing with Black Flag and everything was, it was parallel to the mainstream, but it was its own new world.
Oh yeah,
you know, and it's, I don't know. I think I just hit the end of my word count.
Well, also, I think it's time. Justin's gotta go do yoga.
No. I gotta do all kinds of stuff.
We gotta.
Okay.
You gotta get ready for your tour.
I'm gonna play a whole bunch of houses. I'm playing in a tunnel, like, because we can't book anything. We're mainly going to play a festival, and I'm like, dude, we gotta fill up every day. Just put something there. I don't give a fuck what it is. We're playing like some pizza thing outside, like whatever.
Pizzagate.
You never know though. Like, you know, like people are like, I'm not playing in a fucking tunnel. Like, I've seen some crazy shit in tunnels.
You never know.
You never know.
But what we do is we walk into every venue with a bad attitude, and then when you're surprised,
a bad attitude or low standards.
Both.
Oh.
No, just low standards.
Yeah.
I don't walk in with a bad attitude.
Yeah, bad attitude's like, fuck this.
No.
Yeah.
We have a good attitude. We just have low standards.
Low standards. Yep.
Yeah. I have also a question I want to ask the two of you that I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially since you're going on tour. And it's like, how many? It's actually a tour. But how do you feel about bands that are like, I'm going on tour, and then it's like just weekend shows? I'm like,
it's called a jaunt, right? I think
can we
it's
like
a jaunt.
just
I'm going to play some
agree
shows.
that like what do you think? Like, how many days are reasonable to say it's a tour? And then how many days are like, I'm playing some shows?
Yeah.
You know, the language of it.
If it's longer than a weekend, right? So I think like 5 maybe would make it. You could like kind of be like a little tour's
a mini tour.
That's exactly mini tour.
Yeah.
I think it takes like 14 to be a tour.
I think 10. I think 10 would be a tour.
I would say at least
we've
2
lost
weekends.
all of our listeners.
Yeah. Everybody's like,
no way. Everyone's like, oh shit, this is not a tour. We can't put that on the back of our t-shirt.
People are updating their social media right now. Oh, it's not live.
Like, add more dates. Yeah. Let's play the pizza shop.
Yeah.
Fucking pizza shops.
hey, at least you're probably getting dinner.
Yeah, it's a pizza.
I do want to play a show and try to eat food while I'm playing. I don't know how to do that. I don't think I can. Actually, being a singer,
You should try to play while eating a bowl of soup and see if you don't spill it.
But I thought like if we were holding pizza or like a burger, like you could kind of fuck around and like still kind of perform. Because how rad would it be if you came out and you were like holding a burger and you would like kind of eat and then do the song and then,
right.
But you actually have 2 mics. So
a chili dog.
Well,
she could have sauces. She dips
the
2 mics in.
I think I could do it because I learned how to drive, a stick shift. So I was always really proud of myself.
Oh yeah.
Like I would always get like ice cream cones, and I would be like eating the ice cream cone and shifting. So I could probably eat and sing with 2 mics. Yeah. Maybe.
Except food would be.
I mean, I spill everything on myself anyway. Yeah. So like, it wouldn't be a problem.
We just derailed this whole podcast.
Yeah. All right. On that note,
can we get you guys to introduce yourselves?
Oh yeah, we should do that for the beginning.
Well, we're gonna keep it at the end.
Oh, okay.
And after all this time, you have been listening to me, Nicola Cooperis,
and Adam Lee Miller. We are from the Detroit band Adult, and we've been around 25 fucking years.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, you two.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome. There you have it, episode 24 of the Cult and Culture podcast. If you get a chance, check out Adult's recent album, Becoming Undone. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite records. I think they really stepped it up. And it probably won't be on tour for a while, but if you get a chance to check them out live, please do. Check out the other episodes on 31G's SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, or whatever other shitty streaming service you use to get your podcast. God, we're so negative.
Namaste.
Cult and Culture is a Ruinous Media podcast, proudly sponsored by Earthquaker Devices, Heartwork Coffee, Fender, and Diodario.
Planet B.